Argonne. Okay, Argonne National Lab. Did I tell you the story? Read it on this one. This is Argonne National Lab. Still exists. It's one of the big 5 labs south of Chicago. So this is related to that Chicago story, right, with the hospital. It was the same week, the same 7 weeks that I was there. Same period. Argonne National Lab is one of the big 5 labs in the US. And at this time, this is 84? Yeah, 84. This time, we go there in order to attend this workshop on Sturm-Liouville theory, which is second-order equations, differential equations with parameters, and you're finding eigenvalues and stuff. And you'll be doing this in 3rd year. Except the stuff I do is like crazy. It's really, really abstract. It's pushing it to the limit, and it's nuts. Okay? So we were talking about this stuff over there. Now, so Argonne, our offices at Argonne were in a very interesting place. Top view. Big circle, right? Top view. Empty in the middle. Here was what was called CP6. CP6 is an acronym for Chicago Pile number 6. And around CP6 are offices in a circle, right? Doors over here, and the offices are like this. There's doors, there's an office and a table, and there's doors and an office and a table. And then there's windows over here. You can look outside, right? All in a circle. Interesting layout. CP6 is a decommissioned nuclear reactor. Our offices are like 20 feet from the core, like the sucker used to be. So, of course, we always had worries about this, right? But they told us not to worry about it. This had been decommissioned in 1971, which is only 13 years ago. And we know that uranium has a half-life of, what, 90,000 years sometimes? Wait a minute, this sucker's still there, right? It's as if it was still there. Because you have dust, right? You can have dust from the stuff, the rods and all this. Okay, so you come in this place, this big gate over here, right here. And now, side view, side view. So the thing is like this, right? Like a big igloo. And there's big doors, big solid iron doors that close, right? At various times of the day. So when they opened the doors, of course, to the left over here, there was a puddle. And this puddle of water, which is really very dangerous water, actually held the uranium rods for when the reactor was working. So I tell the guy, the caretaker, I said, what do we do with this water? He said, well, nothing. We just leave it there. The water is covered with this huge piece of glass, 6-inch thick, probably lead inside. The water is radioactive. How do you get rid of radioactive water? You don't. You just leave it there, right? It's probably still there today. So you look inside, and of course you see this big grid, right? This big grid like this, and each one held a uranium rod that worked this reactor way back. And we decommissioned in 71. And we're working like next door to this. Okay. Another interesting thing happens. As you're going around this circle here to get to your office, when you come into the building, there was a station. And this station is like this, right? So there's a keyboard here, and there's this 2 hands over here. 1 hand and 1 hand here. Right? There's this big screen, a black screen. You're supposed to put your hands on these 2 fake hands, right? And then, if everything is okay and your feet are okay, this green light pops up and says, go in peace. What? The hell is this? Go in peace. What happens if you don't go in peace? Right? What does it mean? I mean, it really shines up right here. Go in peace. I mean, I swear to God, this is what used to happen, right? Go in peace. It would come up. So everybody would go in peace. So I thought, what does it take to have this thing react differently? So I go up to the guy one day, the caretaker, and I say, you know, what happens if the go in peace sign doesn't go up? Oh, he says, well, you know, the alarm sounds. I said, the alarm sounds? And what happens when the alarm sounds? Well, the army comes in. What happens when the army comes in? Well, he says we have to lock you up and then we have to disinfect you and all this stuff and, you know, sterilize you. Why? Because it means that you have been exposed to deadly levels of radiation. Okay. I said, did it ever go off? He said, no, not during my stay here. Well, one day I went in, and for some mysterious reason, I tell you, this thing around the pile, there were old trucks and stuff, rigs. There was one rig that had this big rod on it with some clamps on it. And when I asked about this rod, it turned out that this was the rod, this lever, held the uranium rods. Right? It held them. And it folded down, and they made these doors very big to allow this big truck to go in, and then right into the reactor, and then it would lift itself up and then slide the rods into place, so that no human contact was ever made with the rods, right? It was all done by metals. So I said, so this sucker's nuclear, right? And the radioactive. Everybody said, yeah, but you shouldn't get too close. Well, when it's in the grass, I'm looking at it. I'm really not getting close. So, and you're looking at it, right? And I'm thinking, okay, this is rough. So I went next to it, and I guess my feet, maybe the grass, who knows? I go into the room, and I put my hands on top, not thinking, and the red light goes on. So I'm freaking out, because I'm thinking the alarm's going to sound. But it doesn't. It says, please get off and get back on. That's what it said, the big light. Please get off and get back on. So I said, okay, get back on. The green light goes on. Thank God, right? Okay, now that's not the end of the story. Something even more interesting happened. Inside the reactor, because it's a dangerous area, right? There are sensors, motion sensors. Now you got to remember, motion sensors go way back. These motion sensors would detect anything that would happen inside, and the alarm would sound. And if a motion sensor goes off in a nuclear reactor, it's serious business, and the army comes by and all this stuff. Okay, so we're there about 3 weeks, and every day you go in and you put your hands on top and you pray that so it's going to be okay, and the red light will go off. And it's the only place in the world that I know of where there's deer on the compound, and the deer are all white. Think about it, white deer, all white, with red eyes, like this is impossible. This is like a nightmare in existence. It's still like that. Those deer are still on there, and they're all white. And you think, it must be the radiation, right? What else could it be? And there's this place where there's this fence. You can't get this off the net because it's all private, right? There's this big fence with a frost fence, about 30 feet by 30 feet, and it says, keep out, danger. But there's only trees in it, right? There's trees behind this quadrant of this fence. And so I asked the caretaker again, I said, what's behind this fence that says we have to stay away? He says, that's where we buried CP2. What do you mean you buried CP2? Well, I said, well, we had an explosion underneath. You can't get rid of a nuclear reactor, so you had an implosion underneath about 100 feet down, and the sucker just went down to the ground, and then we buried it. He said, you can do that? Yeah, we did it here, he said. That's why you stay away from that area. But that means that the whole grounds are. He says, yeah, we don't stay here very much, we just go home after work. Nobody stays around in this place. And the deer, of course, are all white, right? This is an aside. Okay, so after about 3 weeks of this, oh my gosh, only got 2 minutes. After 3 weeks of this, right, go in one day, and an alarm sounds, like this air raid alarm. Woo, woo, woo. Like we're thinking, what the hell is this? Is anybody attacking our God? What's going on? And the caretaker comes out, everybody out, everybody out. No, wait, no, stay in your offices. No, we don't want to stay in our offices. I don't know what's going to happen here. No, you have to stay in your office. And we stay in our offices, and we're freaking out. The doors are closed. We're talking to each other on the phone. What do we see outside? The army. Trucks, tanks. I mean, where did it come from? I didn't know there was army over here. They were hiding somewhere on the compound, right? There must be a special area. They come in. The machine guns. They got bazookas. They got everything. Right? And we're thinking, what the hell? They're coming to our building. And they're talking to each other on their jeeps and stuff. And they're looking at us, and we're looking at them through the windows. What do we do now? What do we do? They didn't do anything, right? And they come into this big gate in the front, over here. And they start looking around, and they go from office to office. And they look around the office. And they ask us for ID and all this stuff. And they check everything out. And after 15, 20 minutes of this ordeal, right, we dare to ask him, what's going on? And the guy says, well, it's just a false alarm. I said, well, why is there a false alarm? He said, well, we found a dead bird in the nuclear reactor chamber. It must have flown in, hit something, and died. Hit something? You mean it must have flown in and died, right? That's what happened. That's probably what happened. He said, well, all this stuff is classified. I can't tell you more. Right? Okay, so that was the end of it. They came by. And this is really freaky, right? But anyway, that's that story. So, anyhow, I really enjoyed this class. Thank you very much for everything.